Hey guys, hello. We are live. How we doing? Welcome on. We're going to talk a lot of fun stuff today about funds. We're going to walk through the fund launch formula, updates that I'm running in my fund right now, stuff we're doing. So welcome on. We're live on Instagram and Facebook. We're going to stay on here for a little bit, answer questions. So welcome on, you guys. Maybe I'll even bring somebody on live, answer some live questions. So Jay, welcome on. King, 215. Joseph, welcome on. What's that? Ianer, Pegasus joined. Welcome on, you guys. So we're going to talk about a lot of fun things pertaining to funds, what's going on. And we're going to save this live. It'll be posted in our Facebook group. If you guys, by the way, on Instagram over here, if you guys aren't in our Facebook groups, go look up Investment Fund Secrets. We post stuff in here. I go live, a lot of fun stuff. I'm going to go live. I'm going to have the iPad right here. We're going to do, I got my little pencil. You guys like these, by the way? I think they're sweet. I can draw out stuff. So we're going to be drawing all sorts of stuff. So recently, few people have been asking me about structuring their fund, getting it off the ground, especially right now with coronavirus, with what's going on in the world. By the way, this is nuts. Like, I can't believe what is happening just in the last 6 months. Okay, coronavirus, obviously, big deal. Remember the locusts that were all over Africa? There was 300 million locusts in Africa. We've got the killer bees hitting. We got the red tide, you know, that water that's like all blue. If you guys have seen it maybe on Instagram, the blue, it has that blue stuff. And then if you guys saw yesterday, they are estimating about 1 trillion cicadas, which are kind of like locusts, are coming out of the ground right now. Every 17 years they come out, especially in the East Coast. It's going to be like, it's just wild what is going on. Just crazy. So welcome on, you guys. Hermos, welcome on. Doug, welcome on. Welcome on, you guys. Matt. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit fund launch formula. What is that? And I think this is the best way to get your fund off the ground and going. This is the best way, I believe. You know, if you don't have a Harvard degree, if you didn't go to an Ivy League school, this is the way that we launch our funds. This is the way that people like me and you that are entrepreneurs get stuff done. We get things launched and going. And by the way, if you guys are wondering what that is, you guys see that? This is a side note. Before we dive into the fund launch formula, how I was able to launch my first fund, and I think it's a good strategy to help you guys think about launching syndicates or funds, raising money, raising capital. But before we talk about all that, this right here, this is, if you guys can see that, we were putting in our fence. Like, we manually put in our own fence, me and my wife. The fence people were like 2 or 3 months out, so we just said, we're going to do it ourselves. We went to Home Depot. We bought like concrete and fence stuff. And my wife had this idea of me to get a rock, because we needed the post down about 1 inch. Like, Bridger, get a rock and jam this rock on top of the post to kind of like smash it down. We don't have good tools or anything, right? So I grabbed this rock, I put it up, and I'm telling her, like, this is not going to work. Like, Lauren, this is not going to work. My wife's like, no, and this is a house we just phone call. I should be back. So I start smashing this down, and like on the 4th smash, I smash my hand right there, and that's like a blood blister. That's why it's black. It's a blood blister, like, got smashed. That was like 2 weeks ago. So hopefully they told you not to pop them either. I thought I was just gonna pop it and drain it, or they say don't pop it. Anyways, I don't know. That was a side note. We are back. We're live. Okay, let's talk about launching a fund, getting it off the ground. If you guys remember my story, right? I knew I wanted to start a fund. I wanted to be in this space. I knew the wealthiest people on the planet ran funds. And I just thought, it doesn't matter how long it takes me, if I can just figure out this game eventually, right? Eventually figure out how to launch a fund, or even to some degree, even a small fund, I'm going to be better off in this vehicle. It's easier to make money in this vehicle than any other vehicle on the planet. So even if I'm okay at running a fund, I'm still going to make way more money than, my buddy that mows lawns for a living, right? And so I set off on this journey. I was gonna launch a fund, and I started to, it's interesting, you guys know this, and Tony Robbins talks about this a lot. When you start, when you set your mind on something, doesn't matter what it is, you'll start noticing that thing pop up more and more in your life. Talks about Tony Robbins mentions, like, when you buy a new car. Like, my business partner, he just bought an Audi A4, okay? Good car, Audi A4. It's funny, since then, I noticed Audi A4s everywhere. And he's like, Bridger, I see tons of them. And it's not like there's all of a sudden more Audi A4s. It's because you start to notice them and pay attention to those things. So when I started to learn about a fund, what a fund was, how it was structured, how we could use funds in very niche opportunities, I started to recognize and notice different areas where people could use financing and money. Money was the only thing stopping someone from growth. And that's the question I kept asking myself. Where could I put money where money is the only thing stopping from growth? Maybe it's a hot dog stand and they want to go to 20 hot dog stands, but all they need is just money to grow. Or maybe it's, and for me, I found this little niche, these entrepreneurs that needed gap funding for about 60 days. And I could take them from here to here in 60 days, and they gained way more money. They would pay me a fee for doing it, and it was a win-win for everybody. And that's what I figured out. I said, oh my gosh, you could develop a fund around this. Now, a lot of people, when they have a fund idea, the first thing they want to do is go out and say, okay, we got this great idea. We've thought it through on paper, on a whiteboard. Let's go hire some lawyers and set up the legal docs, right? Sounds great. And the problem with that, if you guys can see my iPad, at least on Facebook, the problem with that is legal docs are going to cost you around, I'll speak everything I'm talking on Instagram if you're here, so don't worry about it. Legal docs are going to be, minimum $25K just to get started. And I actually was part of a fund once, and they were in the same trajectory. They were like, Les, yes, we got this great idea. Let's go set up legal docs. Let's hire some lawyers. And I was like, whoa, hold on, wait. Before setting up legal docs, we figured out a good deal. We've kind of framed it out. Let's go pitch investors first. And they were like, wait, Bridger, we need to get our legal docs done. Legal docs need to be done before we go pitch investors. I said, no, they don't. See, it's funny. The SEC actually lets you. So I tell people, first off, go pitch investors first. Wait, hold on. How am I? No, they need legal docs. No, that's what you say. You go, let's go to, Mrs. Anderson's office. We walk into Mrs. Anderson's office. We sit down. We give her the pitch, right? We're on the whiteboard. We're mapping it out. We say, Mrs. Anderson, this is not all done and ready to go. We are still in the early stages of getting this ready, okay? The legal docs are going to be done in maybe a couple weeks. They're a couple weeks out, but if everything checks out like we're telling you, pretty much everything we've told you is just going to be put into a legal document format, would you want to invest? And can we put you down for $250,000 or $100,000? And that's called a soft commitment. We would start getting soft commitments for our fund without our legal docs done. So we have the soft commitments. We start getting those in, right? People are like, yeah, I'll put down $200,000. Now, from soft commitments, I would say, you're probably going to end up getting maybe half or maybe 60% of what they say. So if you have soft commitments, our third fund, we have about soft commitments, about $8 million right now. I'm guessing we'll end up getting like 4, right? On the soft commitments, but still $4 million. We're like, yeah, this is sweet. This is a good idea. Let's move on and now hire a lawyer. And Richard's saying in the chat, talk to a lawyer, $35,000 to set it up. I was saying 25 is a minimum. Lawyers are expensive. And so if you have the investors already lined up, it makes the legal docs way easier. Because I've met too many guys that have tried to do a fund. They spend the money for the legal docs, they pitch it, and nobody wants to put money in. It's crickets, right? Every investor's like, I don't know, I don't like it. And either they have to go rehire lawyers to tweak their legal documents, or they just have to scrap the whole idea and go get 9-to-5 jobs to pay off the debt from the legal docs, okay? Pay off these lawyers. The nice thing about that strategy of finding the deal, framing it out, step number 3, pitching investors, and then and only then doing legal docs, because if no investors like your pitch, guess what? You just go back to the drawing board and figure out what they will like. That's what I call that's a 4-step formula for the fund launch formula. And that was like in 6 minutes, right? That was very basic, right? 4 boxes. I draw them out. I know you guys on Instagram can't see me, but getting your fund off the ground, I think that helps a lot. Now, we have comments and questions on here. I want to answer some of these. Welcome on, Aaron. Aaron Wooden, what's up? We're going to play basketball tomorrow, Aaron. It's going to be fun. It's one of my buddies. Jake, welcome on. Scott, the investor. Scott, how you doing? Lauren, Michael, welcome on, you guys. Okay, so a few questions coming in. Ash Atkinson. Hey, Bridger, I have a question about the legalities about creating a fund of non-accredited investors. or should I just create a syndication? Great question, Ash. So kind of a loaded question. Let's kind of go over that. So first off, he asks, legalities of creating a fund with non-accredited investors. What does that mean? Okay, there's different classifications of investors that the SEC has put out there. So the SEC, long time ago, this is the Act of 1933, after pretty much when the SEC was set up, way back when after the Great Depression, they came out and said there are different types of investors. And the SEC, essentially the overarching goals of them is they want to protect the little guy. They don't want slick talking fund managers like me and you to come and take grandma's last, $15,000, take it and then lose it in the stock market. The SEC really hates that. The SEC is out to protect the little guy. So they said for funds, and these are for 506B and C funds, Regulation D funds, they say there are classifications of investors. The lowest would be just non-accredited. That means you're not in any, so non-accredited. The next tier is called an accredited investor. Accredited investors have a $1 million net worth, not including their home, or they make $200,000 a year or $300,000 a year with a spouse. Okay, that's the tier for an accredited investor. So people get mad, the rich get richer, right? One of the reasons maybe is because the SEC only lets accredited investors invest into good funds like mine and yours and all these different types of big funds out there. If you're an average Joe, average American makes, I think, $60,000 a year, you cannot invest in these big funds and get a 12, 15, 20% return in a private equity fund. Now, the SEC does that to protect the little guy because they believe if you make at least $200,000 a year, have $1 million net worth outside your home, that you are sophisticated enough in the world of finance, you understand money to some degree. Your knowledge in money is somewhere. And so if you lose that money, you were knowledgeable about it. You actually had you at least were knowledgeable, right? Sophisticated is kind of the terminology they use to get in there, okay? Now, there's another one above that. It's a qualified client. Qualified client has about a $2.1 million net worth, not including their home. And then there's one above that. It's a qualified purchaser, $5 million net worth. And some funds they say we only accept qualified purchasers in our fund. You have to have a net worth of $5 million to even talk to us, okay? That's how this kind of world works. So when raising your own fund, like Ash's question, the legalities of creating a fund of just non-accredited investors. So Ash, to answer your question, and maybe this can be a little bit deeper for some people, but the SEC, so under Regulation D, you want to write that down, Regulation D 506, there's 506B and 506C funds. Under both those, 506C funds, you can't advertise, you can advertise, but you cannot take non-accredited investors. A 506B fund, this is probably what you're asking about, you can take up to 35 non-accredited investors, okay? So over here, I'll write this out. Ash, I think you're on Facebook, so you can see this. So 35 non-accredited. Now, they need to be sophisticated investors. Now, what does that mean? The SEC doesn't really say. Sophisticated investors they are sophisticated. I don't know, right? A lot of the times, if they're an employee for your fund and they help manage the fund and you say, hey, like this happens with my employees. I tell my employees, you guys can invest in the fund as a non-accredited investor, be one of these spots for 35. To, first off, incentivize my employees because the returns they're getting helps them, right? They're like, wow, the fund does better. I make more money. I like having them have skin in the game. And they are sophisticated. If they're helping me run a fund, if they're one of my employees, they are smart in the things of finance, okay? If you were just grabbing some guy that drives a truck and shipments and stuff, the SEC might say he's not sophisticated, okay? In the world of finance, right? That's kind of what they're looking for. So you can have up to 35 non-accredited. Now, when you take non-accredited in a fund model, Ash, you have to over-disclose to these guys. So you have to have disclosure. So you need to, almost like a public company. That's what they kind of say. That's kind of the analogies they use in their terminology in the SEC website. They say, similar to a public company, You need to have quarterly statements and a yearly statement and audits, and you need to show all these things to non-accredited investors. You need to explain it to them. So anyways, Ash, long answer, but I think it's a great question. If I was going to take non-accredited investors, like you're saying, in a fund, I would have a Zoom call with them, really explain it. Explain the details of the fund, how they could lose money, and then record that call just in case somebody calls you and be like, hey, I explained this very in plain English to these guys. It was pretty simple, and to protect yourself. Now, the last thing I'll say with non-accredited investors, Ash, it's not really worth it. Non-accredited investor, I don't know how big your fund plans to be. The fact that they're non-accredited means they can probably only invest 10 grand, 20 grand a pop. Maybe 30. And non-accredited investors, sometimes this is their first fund. I'll tell you a quick story. On my first, I call it syndication deal, I was taking money from non-accredited investors. And just like you're talking about. And now a syndication is pretty much an LLC. People just put in money as partners. I was retaining 15% equity as an owner. 30% equity as an owner and an investor, 30%, and then 70% was available pro rata, how much money these other people would put money in. They would become a partner of the LLC, and that LLC would go out and buy our investments. Okay, that's a syndicate. Easy way to get started. If you're getting started, don't set up a fund in your first one. Set up syndicates. It's a great way to get started. You can get around a lot of regulation. Those guys are partners, though, so there's a few more risks. I have some videos that talk about that. Anyways, we were setting this up. I own 30%. One guy put in $5,000. Okay, he puts in $5,000. He wires me the money, and that Friday, he calls me, Bridger, how's the $5,000 doing? What's going on? I'm like, well, it's going okay. It's only been like 3 days. Like, he sent me the money on Tuesday. It's been 3 days. It's going well, right? We're getting things so set up. It's been 3 days. Okay, great. I'm just so excited about it. I said, awesome. Great. Hang up the phone. Monday morning, he texts me, Bridger, how's the $5,000 doing? Is it okay? I might need to pull it out in a couple months. I got to pay rent, and I'm thinking about buying a car. Just let me know how it's doing. And I was like, are you serious? $5,000? He's like, yeah, I might have to pay for, I've got some things coming up, bills and stuff. And I said, this isn't for you. And I took his $5,000, I sent it back to him. And I said, it is not worth the headache on your end and my end for me to manage $5,000 from you. And that's the problems you run in, Ash, with non-accredited investors, is they send you $5,000 or 10 grand or 15 grand, and they are so uptight. This is their life savings, it feels like. And if they lose a little bit of money, it's the end of the world. So we finished that syndicate. I launched my first legit fund, of Regulation D fund. I only took accredited investors' money. I have investors that put in lots of money with me, and they almost forget they have money with me. Right? I send them a quarterly update. They say, great. It's a little more comforting to me if I lost all their money, which could happen as a fund. You can lose money fast, right? That's the risks of being in this game. Now, we try to hedge against those risks, and we haven't lost money yet so far, which has been great. Our fund has actually done very, very well. And I have a lot of personal money in there as well. But if I know, the very back of my head, if the fund lost all of its money, okay, something bad happened. If we lost all of our money, first off, I would lose a lot of money personally. My investors would lose money, but it's not going to kill them, right? They're going to live in the same house. They're going to drive the same car. They're going to live the same lifestyle they lived before. They understand investing is risk, and it's not the end of the world. So, Ash, to answer your question, I would take accredited investors. Also, the last reason, this has been a long question, on a first syndicate, let's say it's your small, first little syndicate. Let's say it's 50 grand, something small. Still take accredited investors' money. I did that in my fund, and guess what? They all gave me 10 grand, 20 grand, 25, 30, 40, 50 grand a pop, each one of them, to test me out. They were trial investments. And I knew that. And I said, I would tell them, give me a trial investment. Send it to me. Send me your 30 grand. Even though I'm looking for a lot more, send me 30 grand. I'm going to knock your socks off as a fund manager. And when we come out with fund 2, you're going to put a lot of money, a lot more. You put 30 grand now, you're going to be putting in 500 grand or $1 million or $2 million in my next fund. Okay, but send me the money now. Let's just test things out. But and it built a relationship with those investors, Ash. So that's how I built those relationships. And my second and our third fund we're launching now has helped a lot to have those relationships and tracker going on with accredited investors, not small non-accredited. So Ash, long answer. I think it was a great question. I loved it. And there you go. Thank you so much. Yeah, happy you like that. Okay, Instagram. Any other questions? Let's look. Boom. MC Gurik, love it on Instagram. Do you think the fact that only accredited investors can invest in funds such as yours will only exacerbate the wealth inequality problem in our country? From Andrew. I don't know, right? I have no idea. Good question. I think there's a good reason the SEC does that, right? I think it is good that they protect the little guy, because there are a lot of there's a lot of scams out there, and scams typically go after poor people. And I'm sorry to say that, but a lot of poor people get scammed out of money from Nigeria and those other places. Sophisticated investors, like they're saying, typically have a lot of they have their blinders up. Like if you guys have pitched investors before, they ask you every question, because they all believe it's a scam. They believe everything's a scam. So I think it helps. It does protect the little guy. Not investing to these big funds, it might, it does. You won't be getting as good of returns other places. So I don't know, Andrew. Only time will tell, I guess. I think the biggest problem though with wealth inequality in our country is not the fact of lack of investment. I don't think it's a lack of opportunity. I think the biggest inequality in our country is people. There's a lot of things, and I can talk about this forever, but there's a lot of people out there that first off don't study money. Okay? If the goal in working, the goal of getting a job is to make money, why would you not study money? I like when I was getting into college, I had friends going out to do anthropology, and they were going to go do English classes and stuff. And I said, that's great, and I want to do them, but I need to learn about money. The goal for me for going to college was to get an education so I can make money, so that I can have freedom in my life. Because the more money you have, and I'm sorry it's this way, that we're living at a capitalism society, is the more money you have, the more ability you have to influence others, to make change in the world, to donate to charities you love, to go out and do the Save the Whales project. Money just makes you bigger in every way that you are. So if you're, and I'll go on this for a second, but a lot of people say, well, I don't want to be a rich jerk one day. And I don't want to have money, and I think I'll be those rich snobs over there, the capitalist pigs. It's kind of funny though. I know a lot of poor people that are jerks too. Isn't that kind of funny? And I know a lot of rich people that are really nice. And I know poor people that are kind of snobby and stuck up, and rich people that are snobby and stuck up. Money, all it does is amplify who you are. And so my goal going into college was I need to learn how to make money the fastest, most efficient way possible. Because if I can make as money as fast as possible, right, I can then be financially free and go. I would love, one of my dream jobs would be a high school teacher. I would love to coach football, do student government. Like a high school teacher, I think would be one of the funnest jobs on the planet. And I actually might do it someday. But I don't want to go to college, be a teacher, and do the teacher lifestyle. I had one teacher in middle school. He had ran a really successful, what's it called? And this is a public high school or public middle school, big construction company. He sold it and became a teacher. And it was the coolest thing. He was the best teacher in our school, I think. He would sit down and talk about real life stuff because he had been in the workforce forever. So, Andrew, long answer. I think the inequality in the country is because people do not study money. They don't study how it grows. And people spend money on TVs and phones and things that don't make them money back. When investor type people will come and spend money on investments. I look at my dad, grew up in ghetto North Las Vegas, had nothing, graduated with B's and C's in college, and just decided to be an entrepreneur for his life. Out of college, had nothing. And started a little business, did well, and he didn't take that money and go buy cars and big houses and TVs. He took that money and he saved it and he invested it and saved it and invested it and saved and invested it. And now, as you guys know, my dad is co-founder of a $20 billion family of funds. That was his, I think, 13th business. He started his fund and has done very well and still lives a very conservative lifestyle. And I think people don't study money, and I love people online that teach about money. I'm trying to teach about funds. I don't really teach money stuff, but I teach about funds, and I think it helps all around in your personal finances as well. So one last thing I'll say, Jim Rohn has a great quote on this is, he goes, there's an old adage, if you gave all the money in the world, you took it, like a lot of, we'll get political, a lot of Bernie Sanders followers. I don't know about Bernie, but socialism talks about taking from the rich and giving it to the poor, okay? There's an old saying, if you took money from the rich, all the rich, and you divided it equally among everybody, which they've done actually before. And if you took that, in just a short matter of time, all the money would be back in the same pockets. And that's just kind of the saying. And you look at lottery winners, I think it's over 3 years, 80% of lottery winners that are usually poorer people win money. They are bankrupt in 3 to 4 years. They win $30 million. And these are lotteries, I believe I saw the stats, over $10 million lotteries, winners. 80% went bankrupt in 3 years. It's not about how much money you start with. It's how much you know and learn about money and what you're doing on there. And that's why socialism just doesn't work. If you look at countries like Spain, like Italy, like Venezuela, like Brazil, bankrupt countries that try to do socialism, on paper it looks great. But guess what? It doesn't incentivize people that are high producers to go out and really produce and really do well. And they should be rewarded for that. Yes, I believe maybe billionaires are making too much money right now. It's leaned a little bit too far that way. But I love a society. I personally love a society where if I wake up and work hard, and I don't know if it's going to be in 1 year or 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, I believe I can be more successful, at least financially, than others, right? If I was in a classroom, and we were told we get an average of the entire class. So if you got an A on your test and I got an F, we would both get C's. So if you stay up and study all night for finals and I'm out partying and just hanging out, smoking weed, and I get an F or a D and you got an A, we would both get C's in the class. Why would you go study? Why would you stay up late and work for finals? You wouldn't. You'd come party with me. We'd go smoke weed and hang out. So this is a little bit of a rant going on, but that's kind of my belief. I love that we have capitalism. I think capitalism is the greatest thing on the planet. And if you're mad about capitalism, if you're mad that people are getting rich, okay, you can try to fight it with policy, or you can just follow what rich people do. They study money. They study the rules of wealth. There are rules. You guys have heard of thousands of rags to riches stories. It's not like it's like, this is almost academic in America, that if you wake up every day and try, you will be successful over time if you stay in the game. Okay? I love it. Let's keep going. Okay. Love that question, Andrew, though. You got me on a little rant. I loved it. Okay. Call me Bert. Which series licenses for Regulation D, 504C, 565? Okay, yeah. So asking about licenses. Okay? Great question. So setting up a fund, a lot of people ask about licenses, okay? What do we do, right? What do we do about licenses? If you guys look at my Instagram, there's actually a video talks about licenses and how I personally do not have any licenses right now. It's like, what? How does that happen? Okay, I do not hold a 65 or a 66 or a 63, okay? I don't hold a Series 7. I don't hold any of those licenses. And my dad, the reason I did that was my dad taught me a way around not having a license to set up a fund. Pretty cool. Let me teach you two right now. So the SEC... So that's by the way, I keep saying that, Securities Exchange Commission. They're kind of like the guys that govern our world of finance, okay? SEC has come out and said, if you charge a management fee, okay, meaning if we had a $100 million fund, most management fees are about 2%, meaning the fund managers will take 2% no matter what. Even if the fund lost money, even if made bad investments, everything short of illegal actions, us fund managers would still take $2 million, okay? And then typically what funds do, they have a waterfall is what it's called. So if we had a $100 million fund and it made $120 million back, so a 20% return, let's say, typically let's call it an 80-20 split. So 80% of that, okay, so $16 million would go to the investors and another $4 million would come to me. So I would make $4 million on performance and then $2 million from a management fee, okay? The SEC says if you're going to do that, if you're going to charge a management fee to $2 million and a performance fee, you need to have a license, okay? And that usually a Series 65 is the license you need to charge that 2% management fee. However, if you don't charge a management fee, if you have a 0% management fee and only make money on performance of the fund, you don't need any licenses. That's pretty cool. So in my fund, I do not charge a management fee. I only make money if my investors make money first. Okay, and it's a performance fee. And I can probably, we won't do that in today's session to walk you through that entire waterfall, but that's licenses, okay? If you're gonna charge that management fee and really wanna do it, that's fine. You need to go get, it's Series 65 or a 66, okay? Now, depending on your fund, you might need other licenses as well, okay? So this isn't a blanket statement. If you're doing a trading fund, if you're trading on public markets, you're gonna need a trading license, okay? But if you're doing buying real estate, or I'm issuing debt or private equity stuff, if you don't charge a management fee, you do not need a license, which is the coolest thing ever. That's why people like us can get into this world and break in. I think it's the best thing ever, okay? So that's why a lot of our students in our investment fund secrets, our mastermind programs, we teach them don't have a management fee so you don't need a license. And investors love it. When you go pitch an investor and you say, hey, Mrs. Anderson, right? Go back to Mrs. Anderson's office. Okay, Mrs. Anderson, we sit down. I don't make any money as a fund manager unless you make at least 8% back first. That's a pretty compelling argument, right? They go, really? You go, yeah, I'm so confident that we as fund managers will not make any money unless you make 8% first. And then we'll do an 80-20 split and whatever, right? And they say, wow, it's a good pitch, right? It's you putting your neck on the line for this fund. That's how much you believe in it. And you can do it without a license. So hopefully, call me Bert. That answers your question. I love it. How much? Oh, great question. And I'm looking on Facebook too. I'll go to this question first. How much financial analysis / coding knowledge is needed to start a fund? Great question. Depends on the type of fund you're doing, right? If you're going to start a fund that wants to have this crazy computer system to like go and trade and like all these computer algorithms, you're probably going to need some coding. However, let me ask you a question. Does Elon Musk, you guys know Elon Musk, Tesla and SpaceX, does Elon Musk have a degree in rocket science? No. Does Elon Musk know how to build cars? Like personally, does he like engineering? Does he know how to go and program and build a car? No. Okay? Elon Musk knows how to build a team to do that. Elon Musk knows how to go on stage and say, we're building a freaking Cybertruck. Everyone put down payments right now and we're going to build it in 3 years. Okay, Elon Musk is an incredible marketer. That's what he is. And I don't know as a manager, I don't really know him personally, but I imagine he's a good team builder. He gets people behind a vision. Okay, so if you're worried about coding, you don't need to be a coder. You don't have to do it all yourself. You need to find people who are good coders to partner with you or be your employees. If you feel like I would say for a fund manager, you probably need some basic knowledge of financial analysis, right? You need to understand how money works and money is made. If you're going to be a professional money manager, you should understand that. I don't think you need to get a financial analysis license or anything like that. I think you just need to you understand how finance works, and that's what we teach in our mastermind programs. By the way, if you guys haven't seen our mastermind, pretty cool. We have about 150 people in there. We have mentors that come on and teach you guys all this stuff. So if you want to learn more, go to investmentfundsecrets.com. Little plug there. But it's pretty freaking cool. I spend most of my time there teaching, and we help our students a lot. We go live every Friday and answer a lot of their questions personally. But I would have some basic knowledge. But again, if you feel like I can't raise money, right? I don't know how to raise money. That's okay. There are people out there. There are plenty of people out there that are professional money raisers. This is what they do for their career. They have spent the last decade going to parties, making friends, having the network, the Rolodex, right? They know how to talk and swoon people. They're professional salesmen, essentially. Go partner with them. You don't need to do everything. No fund that I know of is ran just all by one person, right? You always need partners. You need people. You need employees. If you can be the best team builder and have the best vision, that's what you need as a CEO or as a founder. Founders have vision is what they have. Elon Musk has vision. Okay, he's like, we're going to Mars. I don't care who I need to fire, who I need to hire, what California governor I got to yell at. Like, I'm going to get it done, which I love Elon Musk, right? He's like, I got to get it done. And so people love that vision. You're like, I want to go work for Elon. I want to take people to Mars. People love that vision. And the cool thing about running a fund is you can build that vision with other people and programmers and people that are financial analysts, right? They want to come work for you and do that. So anyways, that's what I would tell you on that. You need to be smart yourself. I would say be a level 3 or 4 or 5 in every area so you can understand and check on people. But that being said, you can do most of the vision, the team building, the overview, and you can bring on level 10 engineers and level 10 analysts that can build these amazing models for you, okay? You can bring those people together. Now, you might have to give them equity at the beginning. That's okay, right? It's okay to give up equity. You don't need to be like, I'm holding on to every piece of equity ever. It's okay to give up some equity to bring on good partners, okay? Okay, sorry, I'm going to go back to Facebook for a second. Unity has a large deal to do with it. If you're focused on making humanity a better place, you are more than likely to be compassionate and not a jerk. I love it, Martin. I agree. And I think we talk about this a lot in our programs and groups. Our mastermind is get rich, give back, right? You got to change your world before you can go out and change the world. And I have a lot of charities that I love and support, and I want to give more time to them. But I know right now, I got to change my world before I go out and change the world. Does that make sense? If you have this, I love Operation Underground Railroad. I think is one of the greatest charities on the planet. These guys they have former Navy SEALs, ops, whatever. They go out to South America, to all these countries in Asia, and they save children from sex slavery. Children, okay? These guys are 6 years to 13, 14 years old, children that are being prostituted around. They go and save these children. It's the most amazing thing in the world. They've saved thousands of kids. And I'm like, dude, I want to give as much time as possible to them. However, I got to make sure, I got to money and be able to donate for missions or help them with whatever they need. Or myself, I now have time because money gives you time. When you have money, you have more time on your hands. And I want to go out and maybe go on one of these missions with them or help with aftercare or help kids in the orphanages, right? When you have money, it gives you time to go save the planet like you want to. And I think that's why I love capitalism and I love what we do. So if you're a school teacher and you've got to pay, and I think being a school teacher is awesome, by the way. I love school teachers. However, a school teacher can't leave for 6 months or donate $200,000 and you know what I mean and help out these kids and stuff and all these things, right? Because they got to pay bills, they got to pay their mortgage, they got kids themselves, and that's just the nature of how the world is run right now. At least is people with money have more power to get things done, to influence change on others around them, and I want to be one of those types of people, and that's kind of why I set down this road of. I'm going to try to make money as fast as possible. That was my goal in college. Is whatever it is, I will go as whatever vehicle it is. I will go as fast as possible. And I believe running a fund is the best vehicle on the planet. It can help you make money. If you follow this vehicle, it is I think one of the best vehicles on the planet to make money. So, okay, here we go. Other questions. Every time you speak on the seals, it gets interrupted. Huh, okay, I don't know if it's blacking out, Leo. Sorry about that. Young boy fat. I love it. How do you get investors to trust you and believe in what you're doing if you don't have any experience? I love it. Great question. So my first fund, I didn't have any experience, okay? I went out. I had this great idea. I had framed the idea, and I went to start pitching investors, okay? Now, this is what my dad told me, and I'll give you guys the same example. Because everyone's asking right now, well, I can't raise money. I can't raise money. There's no way I could raise $100,000 or $200,000, like $1 million. Like, there's no way. No one's going to believe. I don't know anybody rich. I don't know what's going to go on. So my dad told me this. He said, Bridger, imagine if today's Wednesday, right? It's live. Wednesday, we found a Lamborghini in Montana, okay? Let's call it Billings, Montana. Okay, we have a Lamborghini in Billings, Montana. There's somebody going in bankruptcy. There's this motivated seller. They need to sell the Lamborghini for $50,000. That's it. we already had a mechanic look at it. It's checked out. This is a legit Lamborghini, okay? And there's this guy in Montana. He's like, I got to sell it now. If you have, he goes, I will sell it on Saturday for $50,000. You just got to bring me cash, 50 grand by Saturday. And he goes, Bridger, now you just go with me. This is an example, okay? He says, Bridger, on Monday morning, let's say you have somebody in California that'll buy this same Lamborghini for $200,000, okay? And they've already signed the contract. They're like, I'll buy it. If you can get me the Lamborghini Monday morning in California, I will buy it for $200,000. And it's all checked out, okay? So just go with me for a second. It says, Bridger, so you need to come up with 50 grand by Saturday. And you can't use any of your own money. He goes, do you think you could find $50,000 from other people? He's like, I don't care. Go to an aunt, uncle, former business owner, boss, somebody you worked for before, a professor you had, anybody. You got to come up with 50 grand. You're going to make $150,000 between Saturday and Monday if you can just come up with 50 grand. Because you got to fly to Montana, whatever, and get it and take it to whatever, okay? He says, could you find 50 grand? And I was like, maybe, yeah. I was like, I think so, 50 grand. I think I could find enough friends and people to put together 50 grand. And he goes, okay, what about 100 grand? Let's up it up a little bit. What about 100 grand? You can sell it for $200,000. You're going to make $100,000 if you can find 100 grand by Saturday. And I was like, yeah, I think I could. I could beat the streets and I think I could find it. I could borrow a loan. I mean, I could find 100 grand. And he goes, why? Why 3 minutes ago were you like, I can't raise money. I don't have a track record. I don't have the Ivy League degree. I haven't worked on Wall Street. And I was like, huh. He goes, it's because you found a good enough deal. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's a verified deal. The Lamborghini's $100,000. I can sell it for $200,000. It's already it's verified, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, yep, it's verified. He goes, yeah, I could find 100 grand. He goes, why? Because you found a good enough deal that you felt confident enough going and asking people for money. He goes, aha, there's your magic thing. He goes, when we raised our first fund, we were trying to get over $100 million, and they did it. They wouldn't go into a boardroom. This is my dad's funds talking about. They wouldn't go into a boardroom and pitch the investment thesis like a lot of people do. Oh, we theorize in 18 months, we're going to start buying real estate, all this stuff. They would walk in and say, hey, we've got a real estate project. It closes by the end of the month. We can get it half off. And this is 2009, right? This is when they started their first big real estate funds. We can buy it half off. It's all verified. You're smart, Mrs. Investor, Mr. Investor. Check out the deal. What do you think? Right? Have your real estate guys come in and check it out. What do you think? And they would go, yeah, this is a pretty good deal. They would pitch the deal. They would pitch the Lamborghini, not the, look at my track record, look at how great I am. They'd say, hey, I'm just as smart as you, but I found this Lamborghini in Montana. It's amazing. Do you want to put in 10 grand? And we're going to raise some money. We're going to get 100 grand and we're going to go buy this Lamborghini. Okay? That is how they raised their first $100 million. That's how I raised my first fund. At the beginning, if you guys were on, we talked about the fund launch formula. Okay, that's what we're talking about right now, is back to that framework. Number 1, find an amazing deal. Number 2, frame it out, get it ready. And number 3, then pitch investors. Don't do your legal docs first. Put your legal docs at the end. Pitch investors, raise the $100,000, and once you have 100 grand, you go, great, I can go hire a lawyer for a couple grand, put our little entity together and get going. Okay? That is the beauty of that. And that's how I was able to get off the ground and launch my first fund without a tracker, without building anything. That's my dad did the same thing. And dozens of other fund managers we see in our mastermind group are doing the exact same thing right now. So, young boy fat, I love the question. And there you go. Okay, I'll stay on. Maybe one more question. Okay, let me look. Oh, we have other time on here too. Okay, I'm looking on Instagram and Facebook right now. I love it. Okay, asking a question. Let's talk about fund versus syndication. I have a few questions to talk about that, right? People saying you can set up an LLC, you can set up a fund, LPs, all this kind of stuff, okay? So fund versus syndication, what are those? So a syndication is essentially what I say a deal-by-deal basis. This is my definition. Deal-by-deal basis, okay? A syndication, you are syndicating money together from a number of different investors, and you bring that money together into an LLC. That LLC goes and buys let's call it a house, and you flip the house and you sell it. Okay? House flippers are the best syndicators on the planet, I believe. House flippers are really good at this. They find a house, they find some investors, they say, put some money, let's get some hard money or whatever they're going to do. They put money on the house, they flip the one house, and they pay everybody back. Okay? That's a syndication. They do this over and over and over. One of my good friends, he's flipped, I think, about 230 houses in syndications. Okay? And syndications, I call it kind of a hamster wheel because it gets a little tiring. If you guys have done that before, it's very tiring to go out and flip through LLCs. Now, Alex, I'm going to get to your question in just a second, but that's syndications, deal by deal basis. Now, there's the fund model, okay? And these, I think, are together. I think it's good for when you guys are starting out, do a syndication or 2 or 3 or 4 to prove your model out. And once it's proven, then imagine a house flipper, instead of raising money for every single house and setting up new entities, you raise the money once, you set up the legal documents once, and you can buy 10, 20, 30, 40 houses and flip all of them, and you never have to go raise money again or set up new entities. That's the beauty of a fund. A fund is for scale. Okay, a fund is to take it off. If you have a hot dog stand, you probably set up your first hot dog stand with just an LLC. Okay, simple company. But if you want to go from 1 hot dog stand to 1,000 hot dog stands, yes, you can do franchise. Yes, you can take VC funding. But I believe setting up a fund, raising money from limited partners, and you can go out and set up 1,000 hot dog stands with that money. You pay your investors back, and you own all the hot dog stands at the end of the day. It's an amazing model. It's to scale. It's a fantastic way to do it. So that's kind of the difference between syndicates and funds. I think syndicates are the best way to get started. In our mastermind groups and all the stuff we talk about, this is for syndicates or funds both. I kind of put them together because one leads into the other. Now, Alex, you're asking about there's also funds that don't follow the general partner limited partnership structure. They actually follow an LLC structure, and they have the same kind of documents as a fund. I'm not going to dive into that right now. Yes, you can do an LLC. There's new types of funds that use an LLC. They have Class A shares and Class B shares. Class B shares are the fund managers. Class A shares are the investors. They're non-voting shares. It's very similar to a fund. However, when I say fund, I mean general partner limited partnership structure. However, I would say lawyers and most investors understand the general partner limited partnership structure way better than the brand new LLC, Class A, Class B shares. It's going to take more time to explain to investors and lawyers what you're doing, and it might cost you maybe some investors to put money in. I like to follow what everybody else is doing because it's more copy and paste for lawyers. It's like, oh yeah, we've done 20 of these. Here you go. Bam, here's another one. You go file in Delaware, your stuff, right? Oh, Delaware is like, yeah, we understand the general partnership, limited partnership structure. We get it. Here we go. When you come in like, hey, I have this cool new idea, they have to read through things twice. It just takes a little bit longer. Both ways are good. In our mastermind, we actually give you documents for both of those. And Alex, so I'm fine with people setting up those LLC funds, syndicate LLCs, or a general partner limited partnership fund. But if you're going to set up a fund, I would just stick to the bread and butter general partner limited partnership fund. I think it's kind of the way to go. So I have been drinking tons of water this morning. I have kind of a goal to drink a gallon of water a day. And so I have to go to the bathroom like so bad right now. I've already had 2.5 of these this morning. These are, 27 ounces, 28 ounces pop. So here we are, Instagram. So I'm going to go to the bathroom. You guys are great. It's been fun. We've been on here for a little bit. I love the questions. I hope we can do this more. Would you guys like this? Do you guys like doing this? Like maybe once a week we like hop on Instagram and just do this. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of fun. Like a little tea time. We get together. We just chat up funds for a little bit. I think it's kind of fun. So anyways, have a good day, you guys. Love and care. I know there's crazy stuff going on in the news with that black guy in Minnesota with the police thing. Anyways, let's spread love, not hate around here. You know what I mean? And it's awful what happened, and I think hopefully we can learn from this and grow, and hopefully one or two instances doesn't reflect all of us. I think that's true at all. So let's have harmony in America. I love the United States. I love America. This country is amazing because we can go out and launch funds and start businesses and create. Well, last thing I want to say in America, if you lived in the dark ages, and you were born into a poor household, you stayed in a poor household your entire life. There was no, even if you were a genius, there was really no chance of you getting out of that poor household. If you were born in America, it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, you can change your future. You can, if like you guys know all people like this, they move here from Vietnam or from Korea. They don't even speak English. Okay, immigrants come to America. Within 5 years of being here, they have a laundromat, they have a restaurant, and they're doing great. They can barely speak English. Only in America is that possible, I believe. Now, there's other countries that you probably do that, but especially in America, I think immigrants come here and they're like, holy crap, I have never seen this much opportunity available in one place so easily. Yes, you know, things can go bad, but it is hard to truly fail in America. To really hit rock bottom. To be like homeless, broke, like nothing. You have no possessions. It is hard to do that in America. You have bankruptcies, you have credit cards, you have all these kind of safety blocks, right? If you start losing money, it's very hard to hit rock bottom in America. And that's why I love this country. And it's a place where you can take chances. So last thing I want to say, just take a chance on yourself. Take a chance on yourself in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's starting a fund, maybe it's something else, but take a chance on yourself. I love it. I love it. We have some Canadians in the group. Why? Hey, by the way, my mom is from Alberta, Canada. I love Canada. Canada's a great place too. I love America. I love Canada. Great spots. I love other countries too, but especially in America, I will say that's true. Anyways, I gotta go to the bathroom so bad. I'm gonna piss my pants right now. So have a good day, you guys. Peace and love, and I will see you later. Bye. Let me turn this off. See you guys.